Dr. Seuss, born Theodore Seuss Geisel, is celebrated as one of the most beloved and influential children's authors of all time. His journey to success, however, is marked by a dark secret: his use of racially insensitive imagery and themes in some of his works. Additionally, his death marked the end of an era but left a complicated legacy that continues to spark discussions about racism in literature and popular culture. Let's delve into these aspects of Dr. Seuss's life and legacy. The path to success. Dr. Seuss's success can be attributed to his unique storytelling style, imaginative characters, and universal themes that resonated with children and adults alike. He began his career as an illustrator and humorist, contributing cartoons and illustrations to various publications. His breakthrough came with the publication of And to Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street in 1937, which showcased his whimsical storytelling and distinctive illustrations. Subsequent works like The Cat in the Hat, Green Eggs and Ham, and How the Grinch Stole Christmas solidified his reputation as a master storyteller and catapulted him to fame. Dr. Seuss's ability to blend humor, wordplay, and moral lessons in his books made them perennial favorites, beloved by generations of readers. His success extended beyond books to animated adaptations, merchandise, and theme park attractions, establishing him as a cultural icon. Dr. Seuss has always been a racist, even in broadside. Dr. Seuss's early works, including And to Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street and If I Ran the Zoo, contain illustrations that perpetuate harmful racial stereotypes. For example, characters of Asian descent in Mulberry Street are depicted with exaggerated features like slanted eyes, traditional conical hats, and buck teeth, reinforcing offensive stereotypes. Similarly, African characters in If I Ran the Zoo are portrayed with animal-like features and exaggerated lips, reflecting racist caricatures prevalent during Dr. Seuss's era. Orientalism and exoticism. In several of his books, Dr. Seuss engages in orientalist tropes and exoticizes non-Western cultures, portraying them through a lens of otherness and exoticism. For instance, in The Cat's Quizzer, questions about exotic locations and cultural practices perpetuate a simplified and stereotypical view of non-Western cultures. This exoticization reduces diverse cultures to superficial and monolithic representations, contributing to cultural insensitivity and misrepresentation. Problematic language and narratives. Dr. Seuss's use of language and narratives in some of his books has also been criticized for reinforcing racial biases. For example, in And to Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street, the use of outdated and derogatory terms like Chinaman to describe characters of Asian descent is deeply problematic and reflects a lack of cultural sensitivity. Similarly, narratives that position non-white characters as exotic or inferior contribute to harmful power dynamics and reinforce racial hierarchies. More things you didn't know about Seuss: he published adult content. Before we get off the subject, Dr. Seuss did actually write some pretty racy adult content. His 1939 book, The Seven Lady Godivas, was about a group of sisters who never wore clothes because they were simply themselves and chose not to disguise it. The book was a colossal failure, and Seuss blamed himself, saying that he tried to make the women sexy but wasn't able to pull it off. Geisel also contributed a couple of cartoons to a book called The Bedroom Companion or A Cold Night's Entertainment, which were also pretty suggestive. He wasn't a doctor. Most people aren't familiar with Dr. Seuss's real name. Theodore Seuss, Ted Geisel. When he was a college student at Dartmouth, he began using Seuss as a pen name, and eventually added the doctor to it despite having no medical background. In fact, his second wife, Audrey, allegedly thought he was a proper doctor when she met him. In 1956, however, Dartmouth did grant the writer an honorary doctorate, so technically he did become a doctor in the end, even though he was never a real doctor. He was fired for drinking on the job. Not all college students meet the legal drinking age in the United States, but obviously many of them break the rules. Ted Geisel got in trouble for drinking while he was studying at Dartmouth, but not for the reasons you'd think. You see, he was going to college during Prohibition when drinking alcohol was illegal. So when he was caught having gin with some friends in his dorm, the dean asked that he step down from all extracurriculars, including his job as editor-in-chief of the humor magazine The Jack-O-Lantern. However, it was by using the pen name Seuss, as previously mentioned, that he was able to keep working on the magazine undiscovered. He made war propaganda. We already talked about Geisel's Oscar win for his war documentary, but before that he was involved in producing some other pro-war content as well. At the beginning of the war, he started to pen political cartoons for a New York City newspaper called PM. Some of the work he produced at the time was controversial, and in retrospect would be considered propaganda. While he derided racism in many of the images he created, there was at least one instance of him drawing racist depictions of the Japanese people and supporting Japanese internment camps. Impact on young readers. The presence of racially insensitive imagery and themes in Dr. Seuss's books can have a lasting impact on young readers' perceptions and attitudes towards race and ethnicity. Exposure to harmful stereotypes and caricatures can normalize biased beliefs and contribute to the internalization of racist ideas. Children may absorb these messages uncritically, leading to distorted views of diverse communities and reinforcing harmful social norms. Acknowledgement and response. In recent years, there has been increased acknowledgement and scrutiny of Dr. Seuss's racist imagery and themes. The decision to modify or remove books like "And to Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street" from publication reflects a growing awareness of the harm caused by racially insensitive content in children's literature. Publishers and educators are reevaluating their approaches to cultural representation and promoting diverse and inclusive narratives that challenge stereotypes and promote empathy and understanding. If you are looking for more stories on business and business entrepreneurs, like and subscribe to the 2-Minute Entrepreneurship channel.